Get a feeling from you, things ain't right. Do you need something new?
I gotta listen to it now.
Knowing how both of us live leaves us so little to give. If
I could have wings, I would do anything
just to keep you with me,
'cause you see, if I could fly high.
I would give you the sky.
Nothing?
Around the clock, we're gonna rock to the rhythm of the street, up and down the block. Around the clock, we're gonna rock the dreams you give if the streets could talk. Wanna be somebody, be a contender. Gotta reach for the sky. If you want it, fight for it, or kiss it goodbye. It's make it or break it. Try to survive. Don't ever say never. Keep your dream alive. Around the clock, we're gonna rock.
He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken. Podcast, and we're back, Blake. No.
Shades free.
Edit.
I got some kind of allergy shit going on.
We're back. November type movies.
We're back. We're and we're ready to roll.
Edit. We're here. We're and we're looking for Blake. When we decided to do movies for November, we had similar ideas.
We did.
And this was we both mentioned this movie today, Dutch from 1991. Sorry. I don't know what to do.
I just love watching you over there bounce as you cough, but I don't hear shit.
Every time. I don't cough.
Fingers just on the mute button the whole time.
I don't cough during the day. This is the only time I ever cough. What would you call that? Like anxiety?
So I don't think I had ever heard of this movie until we started this YouTube thing, and our really, really good friend Nick Push says this is one of his favorite Thanksgiving movies.
What a
and I've wanted to see it for almost 2 years, and it's been impossible to find. So I reached out to our friend who works at HBO Max, and he said, "Hey, you guys want it? You got it." And he put it on there for us.
Well, good. I'm glad you did that. I watched this movie back when it first came out, Blake. I rented it at the video store. And I remember thinking, this is pretty good. I like this movie. Like the scene that stood out was when the kid's slobbering all over the That's the only scene. And at the end, I knew he shot him in the ass with a BB gun. That was the two scenes that I remember from the entire movie. And here we are, 1991. What are we, almost 30 years later? We are 30 years later, 31 years later. And those were probably the two best scenes of the movie still.
I think if 10-year-old Blake would have watched this would be a really big nostalgic movie for me today, like it is for Nick Push. But unfortunately, I saw it for the first time as a 36-year-old, and it's got a lot of problems. It had a lot of potential. The first thing I noticed, it said a John Hughes production. And I was like, whoa, here we go.
Yeah,
and I saw, hey, keep interrupting. I saw where the story, where I thought it was going to go, and they didn't pull the trigger. They didn't. I mean, what you think's going to happen and what you kind of want to happen really doesn't happen. And
where did you think it was going to go?
So it felt like they were building up to Ed O'Neill being this super rich guy. And the kid was going to find out at the end, this may be the richest guy he's ever met. He's more rich. He's richer than his dad. He's richer than everybody. But he doesn't act like he has money, because that's not what life's about. I thought they were going there. They did go there, but they didn't like put it over the top. Like at the end, the people who give him the ride, he's like, "Hey, come office on Monday. We'll get you a job and a check or whatever."
No, I thought the I thought they showed you just how rich he was without hammering you over the head with it. If you were paying attention, they passed a construction site, and by construction site, it looks like some kind of gigantic stadium is being built, or a skyscraper or something like that. And off to the side on the fence there, it's got Dutch Construction, which lets you know that he's just not a construction worker. This dude is a big time construction
like contractor worker. Yeah,
he's making architect type. He's making tons of money, so he's very rich.
So I thought at the end it was going to be reveal that at any point in time Dutch had the money to just get him home right away, and he didn't, because he wanted to bond with the kid. He wanted to teach him a couple of life lessons along the way, but that wasn't the case. I thought the kid beating him. I thought the kid beating him up a couple of times was going to lead to someone messing with the kid, adults, which we did get, and Dutch just beating the piss out of them, proving that he is a tough, badass guy. And he was just playing that part for the kid, when he let the kid beat him up using karate or whatever. I don't know. There was just a few things I felt like they could have done that they didn't do.
Well, I mean, at the gas station, after the hookers robbed them, Dutch tells Doyle, he goes, I had over $200 in my wallet. He goes, I was just dragging this out so I could win you over. He goes, it's over. I'm going to call your mother. And then that's when, Doyle says, don't do that. And at the end of the movie, he punches Shooter McGavin right in the damn head. He may have made him edit. Yeah. So you sort of do get those moments. Now, I'm like you. One of the things I didn't like about this movie, he whooped Ed O'Neill's ass way too many times. And I'm like you. It should have been revealed at one point. He should have just called his hand or something like that. But they were trying to get the kid over as they were trying to get him over as, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. They were trying to get Ed O'Neill over as a good, goofy comedy character here. And they did that early on, just when he pretended to be Al Bundy. The Al Bundy mannerisms that he did was fantastic in this movie. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that.
I know, I'm with you, brother. It really makes you wish that Ed O'Neill should have got more lead roles in the early to mid 90s. Off the top of my head, can I name those movies he should have been in? No. But there's really no excuse why one of the bigger TV stars at the time was not in more movies.
Well, my first good right here is Ed O'Neill is amazing in this movie at times. He is really good in this movie with the good things he was given. The fireworks, a couple of the punching scenes, selling that he just ripped his pants, the big asshole smile at the end of it to shoot the kid in the ass. That was great. The way he punched Shooter McGavin, just dotted his forehead to him. You could tell he towed the line in this movie of being working class, serious guy, but at the same time, you find out he's just a goofball and he's just a regular guy. He was the best part to me of this movie. And the second part of my note, it's a shame that he never became a Hollywood regular, even if it's bit parts in movies. I mean, look at Wayne's World. He stole the show in Wayne's World with that little 10 seconds he's got in that movie. He is great. He was great in The West Wing. He's great in Modern Family, and given the right roles, he is a really good actor in major motion pictures. I was sitting here complaining that he didn't get enough roles, and my wife goes, Little Giants. He was great in Little Giants. And I was about
to bring up Little Giants, but I didn't think you're not really a fan of that. That was kind of past young Ronnie, right?
Yeah, that was teenage Ronnie, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
12,
so he played Coach Shea, and he former Heisman winner. He was fantastic in the Little Giants, Ronnie.
I don't disagree at all. He's the hair he's wearing in that movie is great. Rick Moranis is great. Even he's the ass all throughout Little Giants. We should just review Little Giants right now because that movie's way better. So, but that's my first good. Blake, Ed O'Neill, he's freaking amazing. Yeah. And I feel like, in a way, I understand he's a multi-millionaire and he's super famous, but it also feels like he got wasted. Like there were roles out there that he could have took and made movies better, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. And what the hell was up? As a father now, we're trying to watch a movie. and out of nowhere they bring up these naked girl trading cards. I mean, that seemed out of left field to bring that out of nowhere into this movie. I'm gonna show this kid some try to win him over. Edit.
Yeah, it was a little weird. And introducing the hookers, which was E.G. Daily from Pee-wee, and
Yeah.
the voice of Tommy and Rugrats, and
I'm gonna fuck Pee-wee. I take you to the drive-in.
paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, I'm gonna.
Blake, I know I'm like hijacking this, but you're hitting like all the high points of the movie for me. I think the hooker scene might have been the best scene of the movie because the kids in the back just, mesmerized, or as Scott Steiner would say, mesmerized.
I'm mesmerized.
By the girl in the back. And meanwhile, Bundy falls asleep and the hooker is trying to get the ring off his finger, and she's like spitting on his hand and licking it. I mean, and she can't get the ring over his big ass knuckle. So she just gives up, steals his wallet instead. It's the best thing in the movie. Hey, Dottie, we need you to come be a hooker. We need you to be on set for about 25 minutes. We need you to suck on Ed O'Neill's pinky, spit all over it, and then y'all gonna drive off real fast.
Well, this movie is over the top meets Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? I mean, that's what this is.
Yeah, it's definitely, I can see the over the top comparison. It's definitely John Hughes going back to the well, trying to shit out another Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and that just ain't happening without John Candy and Steve Martin. They're the ones. I mean, you put any other two, let's have a little discussion real quick. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You put Billy Crystal and
Billy Crystal sucks. I'm anti Billy Crystal. Can we use another example?
You let me talk for a second. You put Billy Crystal and be running scared with in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and it's an awful movie because nobody cares about Billy Crystal or Gregory Hines. Nobody cares about them. It's Steve Martin and John Candy that made that movie. It was the connection they had to, the way they played those characters and the way they played off of each other that made Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a good movie. You're not going to get that with Ed O'Neill and Ethan Randall / Embry.
Now I'm thinking about who you can replace Steve Martin and John Candy with that would work.
Nobody. Riggs and Murtaugh. There's nobody, Blake. I'm telling you right now, that same exact movie with that same exact dialogue, with that same exact story, there no other two actors could have done what Steve Martin and John Candy did to make that a must-watch movie once a year.
John Goodman and Kurt Russell?
Nope. John Goodman can't act. His best role was Revenge of the Nerds.
Got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds.
I think the Steve Martin role is easily replaceable. It's the John Candy that's tough.
I'm not sure that Steve Martin role is that, because he walked, and why are we talking so much? But we got this movie to review in a couple of weeks. What are we doing?
Okay, so the reason I brought up Over the Top and Planes, Trains, obviously, because of the connections, but I think that's one thing this movie's missing, Ronnie, is
Terry Funk.
What the fuck are you talking about?
they're supposed to start off at odds, and I think what we're missing is the middle part of the movie where they should bond really good and become friends, and then something happens to break them apart for the final ending of them realizing they do like each other. Ethan Embry realizing, I do want this guy to marry my mom.
Yeah.
You know, in the ending climax of the movie. We're missing that middle part where they really get along. And I thought it was going to be the fireworks scene. I thought it was going to be the scene where he saves him with the cops by making up a story after he wrecks the car. I'm like, okay, this is where they're going to become friends and become close. But they never pulled the trigger on that.
No.
I really think that is the key thing missing in this movie, is that one connection that they should have had.
Well, that and the fact that Ethan Embry is one of the most unlikable characters ever. I mean, there's no moment in this movie until the gas station where it shows any signs of being likable. He is a dickhead. His spoiled, entitled, looks down his nose. There's nothing good about him, to the point where I wish he would have died in that car wreck whenever that guy hit him. And you're absolutely right. After the car wreck, it should have been like, hey, thank you for doing that. But it wasn't. It was right back to, hey, let's fight and karate. They show you him trying to get out of the car, or thinking about getting out of the car a second for the fireworks, but he changed his mind. There's multiple times in this movie where they had the opportunity for him to just start turning him face and making him likable earlier, and they just didn't do it. They recycled, hey, I'm just going to beat you up, or hey, I'm going to kick you in the face, or hey, I'm going to punch you in the face, or I'm going to steal the car, or something like that. Ethan Embry, Randall, whatever his name is in this movie, is not likable at all. This character sucks. And even when they're in the homeless shelter at the very end of it, he still yanks the bread away from the little girl who has no food. I mean, he learns nothing until he calls and that girl picks up the phone and he finds out his dad really is just blowed him off. I mean, they should have had that damn gas station scene earlier. It shouldn't be 4 hours into the movie. The gas station scene is probably the most John Hughes scene of this movie, if that makes sense to you, because you finally get the conversation where both characters, now Ed O'Neill gets to turn the tables on Ethan Embry. Ethan Embry's like, come on, man, you said we were not calling. We can get back on our own. And Ed O'Neill's like, man, you, I'm going home. I mean, I'm tired of your ass. You're terrible. You hate your mom. Why are you worried about it anyway? And I'm getting the hell away from all of y'all. And he was, and I understand, that was Ed O'Neill. That was Dutch doing his last bit of okay, what am I thinking about?
Mein Kampf.
Yeah, his last little bit of reverse psychology on Ethan Embry without Ethan Embry knowing it, by throwing out there, I'm just going to leave your mom. I mean, well, she's going to blame me. Well, yeah, you hate her anyway. What's the big deal? And that blows Ethan Embry's mind. She really thinks I hate her? Hell yeah. That was the most John Hughes scene of the movie. And I thought they took way too long to get to that. And then after that, we got another 40 minutes at the homeless shelter that I didn't think was needed. It should have just been, hey, let's get back home. After that. I thought this movie I thought the plot, as you said earlier, had promise, but I thought they leaned way too much on the planes, trains, and automobiles. And I think it took way too long to get where they were trying to go. You got Ed O'Neill. You got a very likable actor. I believe it or not, I'm a huge fan of Ethan Embry, but in this movie, he's terrible. And it's because of the writing. It's because of the character he had to play. That character has to have some kind of redeeming moment before we've been sitting there 90 minutes. All right. At that point, we want him dead.
So, Ronnie, I'm a part-time writer with Harrison Anderson's Part 2.
Yeah.
I envision a scene. Let me see what you think about this. I envision a scene in this movie when he kicks Ethan Embry out of the car. Ethan Embry has found a ring in Ed O'Neill's jacket. And Ethan Embry shows him the ring and he throws it right out into the snow. And that's when Ed O'Neill leaves him. And then in that gas station scene, when Ed O'Neill's giving up, Ethan Embry reaches into his pocket and sets the ring on the table and says, I want you to stay.
Yeah.
I think if we would have got something similar to that, cleaned up, it would have put it over the top. This would be a Thanksgiving movie you have to watch every year.
You're spot on with this, Blake. There should have been a scene that showed just how tough Dutch was.
Yes.
Now, I can make excuses and say the reason Dutch didn't beat the hell out of those two security guards. Also, by the way, guys, in the middle of this movie, we've got I don't know if this was John Hughes's way of saying that working class people are humans too, or if it's John Hughes's way of saying that society types need to stop looking down their nose at working class types, because that's the people who are really the backbone of this country. The message is kind of mixed up at times. At one, it seems like he's anti-working class, and sometimes in this writing, it seems like he's pro-working class. But the reason I'm talking about this is at the end, we get this thing where, they look like they're homeless. So now they're being treated like they're homeless. They're not allowed to go in and get cleaned up at a restaurant. Two random security guards start beating the hell out of them. Like Ed O'Neill takes night stick shots to the back, and I'm assuming that's why he didn't beat up these two goofy security guards because they beat his ass with nightsticks. I guess we can make an excuse there. But you're 100% correct. There should have been a scene where he just beats somebody's ass, and you get to see, okay, he's been letting this kid beat him up the whole time. We sort of, steamrolled right through our good, bad, and ugly.
I don't really have much to say as far as that goes. I mean, you heard my good. I really like Ed O'Neill in this. The bad is Ethan Embry's character development. We didn't get that final push. I'm going to throw in another good. Shooter McGavin as the dad.
He's good at everything.
He is really good in everything he does. I love Ed O'Neill's message at the end. He's not there trying to take over. He's like, look, you're his dad. I'm never going to be his dad. So stop being a piece of shit. Stop lying and manipulating his feelings and be there for him, okay? He's like, all right. He's like, your car's over there. And I love how you can tell it's 1991 because that little red two-door piece of shit car is supposed to be like a nice sports car. I don't even know what it is.
He dots that down. He dots Shooter's forehead, and it's the best.
Hammer fist, Ronnie.
Yeah, you want to rethink it? A week or a month?
6 months.
6 months.
I was kind of hoping a reveal with Shooter McGavin too. Like Shooter McGavin realizes that Dutch is a billionaire or whatever.
Well, the movie starts off and like all these women are at this big society type party, and she brings up the fact that the one's just got divorced, and she goes, "Oh, you talking about me having to be in a fake marriage for 14 years or whatever?" And I'm like, "Fake marriage? Is this dude a something? Edit? I mean, how's it a fake marriage?" And then at the end, he's like, "You got to get the hell out of my house." I mean, get the hell out of here. I don't know what the best part of the movie that they didn't use, Blake, is the Dutch theme. The Dutch theme should have been used a lot more in this movie. At the very beginning of it, I think they hit it in the middle at one point, and at the very end when he shoots Ethan Embry in the ass, that's the best way to end this movie. This movie does. Maybe that's why Nick Push loves this movie so much with a lot of is because it ends on such a high note of Al Bundy smiling and shooting that kid in the ass.
I think a helicopter should have landed to get Ed O'Neill at one point.
To show you were really like hammering home the fact they should have shown that he had money.
Yeah. I think the message is as long as you have money, your life is pretty good.
Yeah. And if you are around a bunch of homeless people, then you realize that, hey,
we need money.
Yeah, we need money.
Well, goddamn, we need money.
All right, Blake, who's the ugliest person in this movie?
They're in a diner, and there is everyone in the diner, but specifically there's a woman smoking next to him that is just a god dang goblin. And I'm gonna go with her.
There's a goblin. Look, I had 3 potential candidates in that diner. You got the woman that's got the cherry about this long off the cigarette. You got the goblin on the other side of him that's just eating bones. You got the fat waitress that is taking the order. You got the dude that looks like Sean Clark over there working the grill. But my ugliest person in this movie, Blake, is when they're at the bus station and he goes into the bathroom and you got that goofy, ugly asshole in there washing his ass and armpits at the sink. You getting excited about your turkey dinner? He is the ugliest person in this movie.
This was a fun watch. I know I've kind of bashed it a little bit. This was a fun watch. I do think this is something I could watch every November, but that's it. There was a lot of potential there. There was a lot of excitement for me, personally, going into this movie. But I'm going to give it a strong 6.4 out of 10.
Oh, wow. We're rating this bad boy. 6.4. This may be a first, Blake. I'm going to agree with you. I think this is 6.4.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Hit us in the comments, guys. What are you rating Dutch from 1991? What was your favorite parts? The good, the bad, the ugly? Tell us in the comments. Are me and Blake completely off with this movie? We know Nick Push is going to say yes. But the bottom line is this. John Hughes only knows how to write one type of man of the people or working class guy. Dutch is the same character as Uncle Buck, except Uncle Buck didn't have any money, but the behavior is the same way. It's got to make you wonder, is that the way John Hughes views all working class people, or was he related to someone that was just like Uncle Buck and Dutch from
What roles should Ed O'Neill have had in the 90s? Should he have been in Independence Day, Ronnie? Should he have been American Psycho? What else? Should he have been Dumb and Dumber?
So yeah, that'd be a good question for Jet Vanian. He could tell us exactly the roles Ed O'Neill should have had in the 90s and the 2000s that would have made movies better. Did you know, Blake, according to the IMDb, John Candy was originally the original choice for Dutch in this movie? Imagine that.
Was he?
That's what IMDb says. Ed O'Neill said that John Hughes called him every day during the making of this movie, and he had dinner over at his house, and he was supposed to be in other John Hughes movies going forward. But the minute this movie only made $4 million off a $17 million budget, John Hughes never spoke to Ed O'Neill or the director of this movie ever again. The director of this movie, a guy whose name I can't remember, probably should have put it in my notes, is the same guy who directed Crocodile Dundee. So he's elite level when it comes to things like that.
Hearing that story, the director was Peter Feynman. And hearing that story makes me glad that John Hughes is no longer with us.
Yeah, I'm glad he's dead too. Edit. Married with Children made fun of Dutch in one of the episodes. I remember watching it. They like put something over Ed O'Neill's face and had Dutch down there and said free when they went into the movie store to rent a video or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Peg picks it up, looks at it, and goes, "Nah," and puts it up.
Look, it was his big opportunity, and I can see why it failed. I mean, it was very slow. They could have cut this down by like 30 minutes, and it may have won an Oscar.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, they could have put some more in it. They could. There's lots of stuff they could have done.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the scene right off the bat. Edit. I mean, slobber all over them.
We could have got Ethan Embry. Could have had that hooker in the back. There could have been a lot of things that they did.
He could have the back of that car while Ed O'Neill was asleep. I mean, that could have been happened.
Ed O'Neill could have asked Tommy Pickles for a little bit of road.
You beat me to it.
How about a little road, pig?
I'm glad you're back. It's November, everybody.
He scored 4 touchdowns in one game. You know how hard that is? Ronnie, you know how hard that is.
Harder than a minister's.
I don't even know what that means. Harder than Nick pushes in church.
Edit. Oh, hit us in the comments with anything we didn't leave. It's going to be a great November, Gilbert.
It's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. Look, we got Planes, Trains, Automobiles. We got Friday 13th, Part 7. That's a Thanksgiving movie. We got, what else, Ronnie? What else is coming up? What else? We got Never Hike Alone 2. We're going to critique the piss out of that movie. Got a lot of problems with that movie, Ronnie.
Well, I still don't know if we should do like the quick review of it.
Yeah.
So we can get an extra 2 people watching the channel, or just go in order.
We'll make it short.
I'm going to be on oxygen like edit. It's going to be great. All right, we got to end this.